Hello and welcome back to another episode of the EPL Debate Show. Once again, my name is Lalit and with me I have here Sully. And as usual, we'll be discussing what's going on in the Premier League. So, what's going on for our episode today?
We have match analysis from the last game week.
Uh-huh.
We will be touching on the refereeing decisions that have gone off so
Yeah.
far in the Premier League. And also, of course, we have our weekly predictions for game week 4. And last but not the least, the usual fantasy tips. So stay and keep up. All right, so let's get right into it with our thoughts from last game week. The very first game, United versus Newcastle, ending 0-0.
Yeah.
First 20 minutes, we saw United look really good. And at some point, you could have thought they would have blown Newcastle right off the pitch. But then afterwards, it was the same boring United with the perfect phrase that Wenger says, sterile possession.
Yeah.
They had the ball, but really couldn't hurt Newcastle with it. So what do you think is going on?
Well, first of all, Newcastle's defenders, especially Colaccini, deserve some praise. But especially after seeing United's performance against Club Brugge last week, we would have thought that United would be a lot more potent. But they in the final third they just don't know how to penetrate. They don't make moves off the ball. They're not Rooney doesn't run behind the defenders. Memphis always takes that extra touch. So they just always lose out on possession in the final third. It's until they get a player like Pedro, they're not going to improve in that
Maybe
area.
5 years from now.
Maybe. But we had some good games in other parts of England as well. For example, the Crystal Palace versus Aston Villa, good game.
We all expected Crystal Palace to nick that one, so I wasn't too surprised.
All right, let's move on to the next one then. West Ham versus Bournemouth.
That was the match of the week.
The cracker.
That was the match of the week. There's something wrong with West Ham right now. I don't know if Bilic's his new style of coaching is what's affecting them. But if you think about the old West Ham under Sam Allardyce, they were not used to conceding a lot of goals. And now they're just struggling to get a grip on defense. And we saw Bournemouth, like I expected them to do, keep a hold of possession. And they probably could have scored at least 6 or 7 that game. So
Wow.
good win for Bournemouth regardless. I'm sure their manager, Howe, would be delighted to get the season started with a win and also get their Wilson, their striker, a hat trick as well. So good win for Bournemouth.
Oh, definitely, yes. And then we have Chelsea against West Brom.
That was another cracker, huh?
Conceding 2 goals again.
There's something wrong with Chelsea right now as well. Offensively, they had the run off the ball, the penetration, the pace, the vision, everything they wanted, and the United fans wanted from Pedro. They got that game. But defensively, they just don't look right. Ivanovic, he still looks vulnerable on the right side. And then Terry, albeit I thought it was a harsh red card.
Yeah.
But there's still something wrong there. There's still something wrong. And I think Jose would be happy with the win, but not the performance.
Oh, yeah. No, but at least they got their first 3 points. And
that's the most important.
They can build up on that. And then City at Everton, routine
victory for City there.
Nothing special to talk about over there. But we had 6 draws in the last week. We had draws against teams at the top of the table, against the bottom of the table. 6 draws, that's not normal, is it?
Sometimes you get that in the Premier League. It throws you that occasional curveball. But I think what it speaks to is the bridge and the gap between the top teams and the bottom teams. 4 or 5 years ago, you couldn't imagine seeing a Stoke going out and buying themselves Shaqiri in the market. Probably one of the best prospects out there right now in the whole of Europe.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it speaks to. But then again, it's the Premier League. You never know. You never know.
All right. Well, that was our analysis for the last game week. And next we'll talk about the decisions that some of these referees have been making, costing points. All right, so far it's been 3 weeks in the Premier League, and already we have seen some of the big decisions being made by referees that weren't exactly right. So let's jump into it. Let's talk about the last game first. Liverpool at Arsenal. Ramsey's
The
goal.
Ramsey's goal.
His Roger said his shirt was offside. I really don't know what that means.
Maybe he forgot to tuck in properly. But I think it's something that definitely needs to be addressed. Maybe an offside technology rule needs to come into the Premier League, but on far too many occasions now, and it's only 3 weeks into the season, we've seen the referees not being at it yet.
Yeah.
Like you talked about the Ramsey goal, very narrow call, could have gone either way. They decided to give it as an offside. I'm not going to read too much into it, but a lot of Arsenal fans would be pissed, as I would myself.
Yeah.
Because it could have been a totally different game complexion after the goal.
Exactly.
Ramsey should have gotten the goal given to the team. And
that was early in the game as well.
Right, so Liverpool could have broken down it, and it could have been the same result as last year. Who knows? So, but it's not something that I would read too much into.
And then we had Rooney's goal disallowed. Another 2 points drop for the team.
Again, United would feel hard done by it, but because the chance came when they looked really dangerous and looked like they were going to blow Newcastle out. So if the goal had gone in, United would have probably closed the game out with a 5 easy goals to close out the game. So again, that wasn't as hard as the Ramsey decision.
Yeah.
He was probably half a yard onside, so I'm not quite sure how the linesman saw that offside. But I think it happened so quick, he probably missed it. So that's what happened on that one. So
and then
tough call as well.
And then you have Coutinho's offside, which the goal that was allowed for Benteke against Bournemouth.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to get there here, and then you have Jerome's overhead kick that was disallowed, perfectly good goal. So what I'm trying to get here is that if you look at Liverpool, for example, with Bournemouth, with the goal against Bournemouth, that got them 3 points, and now the Ramsey's goal, 2 points. You add that up, that's 5 points out of 7 that they have gotten because of poor referee decisions.
Are you saying Liverpool are paying the refs?
I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is that's a big difference out of 3 games just to be on, and then Rooney's goal disallowed means that United are 2 points short of where they should be. So at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is that these decisions end up mattering when you look at the Premier League tables.
You know what I think about when it comes to refereeing decisions? I remember Alex Ferguson. He always says the decisions, they always cancel themselves out at the end of the season. So sometimes you get the calls, sometimes you don't, and that's just how the game goes. So I'm sure at some point United will score an offside goal or an own goal like they started the season out with, and they're not going to complain about it. It just gets blown out of proportion when one of the top teams end up not getting the right call, and it cost them the game, should I say so, or cost them points that they feel they should have had. So that's usually what happens. So I think we're just overreacting a little bit too much.
But managers have a point, though, right? When they
absolutely, as a manager, that's what I'll hang on to. Hey, my team lost. We had a goal disallowed. We had an offside goal. I'll hang on to that.
You prepare for the whole week, and then a referee makes a poor call. For example, we're just talking about offside here. We have red cards given, not given, penalty kicks given, not given, and they all end up costing points and impacting the games. Big example, the Leicester United game last season. A couple of bad decisions from the ref, and all of a sudden the game was upside down. So something that needs to be addressed, in my opinion.
I mean, you do have a point, but then again, that's what makes soccer such an interesting game, because you never know what would happen. You can prepare for everything else. You can't really prepare for the refereeing decisions.
Right,
so
but refereeing decisions should be consistent.
They should be consistent, and they should get better. That I do agree on. But
the quality of refereeing in the APL has to improve.
It does.
So that's our verdict, guys. We need better referees' decisions.
Get them out.
All right, the game week 4 is upon us, so it's time for our predictions. Let's talk about the first game where Arsenal is going to Newcastle.
I have a 2-1 away victory for Arsenal here. I think the scoreline will be close. We saw Newcastle have some great chances at Old Trafford as well.
Yeah.
I fancy them nicking one at Arsenal. But I think performance-wise, Arsenal would be head above Newcastle, but scoreline would be close. So 2-1 for Arsenal.
Well, I'm actually going for a 0-0, and it's a tricky period for Arsenal. They are not, the end product has been weak, and I sincerely believe that Newcastle is trying to exploit that, and they're going to put early pressure on the Arsenal attackers. Closing in Sanchez, closing in Giroud, and make sure he doesn't win the headers. And if they do that, then they can definitely and close in Mesut Ozil. They can handle the attack.
It's one thing to try to do it. It's another thing to actually do it.
Sure.
I don't think they have enough.
Sure. Well, I think they do. So it's going to be 0-0 in my books. Next game, Villa hosting Sunderland.
A 2-1 home victory for Aston Villa here. I think the pace of their offense, Agbalaho, Ayew, Sinclair, I think that should be enough to see off Sunderland.
Yeah,
2-1 for Aston Villa.
I have 1-0 for Aston Villa, so not much to talk about over there. Bournemouth versus Leicester.
Two teams coming off two convincing performances last time. Bournemouth away at West Ham, Leicester at home with Spurs. Two different results, however, but in this case, I think they're both in form, and I think that would cancel each other out. So I'm going for a 1-1 draw here.
Okay, I'm actually going for a 2-1 victory for the home team. I think Bournemouth's confidence will be high after last game, and Leicester aren't as good away from home, so it's going to be 2-1. And then we have Chelsea hosting Crystal Palace.
Again, I'm going for a Chelsea clean sheet here. Hopefully you guys make me look good. But I think Crystal Palace would definitely be dangerous on the counter, because I think they're going to come in, keep their shape and organization, and try to hit Chelsea on the counter. But I think with the introduction of Pedro on the right, and coupled with what's his name coming into the team, Kurt Zuma coming into the defense, I think Chelsea would have just about enough to cope with their pace on offense and have enough vision with Hazard, Costa, and Fabregas to slice them open. So I'm going for a 2-0 home victory.
I'm actually going for a 1-2 scoreline with Crystal Palace.
Really? So you see Mourinho's home, his record on the line here, his record being broken by Crystal Palace?
Yes, Crystal Palace is, in my books, one of the better teams, one of the most improved teams. They love pace, and we know when you have pace, what happens to the Chelsea defense. We saw that with City.
Their most crucial player, Balassi, is not fit.
They have Kabay, that's why they bought Kabay for. And then we have John Terry suspended for this game, so it's going to be very interesting. I think this is going to be the game of the week. And Crystal Palace will get all the 3 points at Stamford Bridge.
All right, we'll see.
Yeah, put your money on it, guys. And then we have Liverpool hosting West Ham.
Easy home victory. West Ham have been shambolic defensively, so I'm going for a 2-0 victory for Liverpool and Benteke. And I'm throwing in a curveball here. Coutinho getting in on the score sheet.
Yeah, I'm going for a 1-0 home victory as well. But I don't think it's going to be more than that. I think West Ham, after conceding 4 goals against Bournemouth, will try to improve their defense and line up defensively against Liverpool. So maybe not as high scoring as you think. And then we have Man City versus Watford.
Another routine victory for the home side here. City looked absolutely outstanding against Everton, as they've looked in all their Premier League games this year. So I'm going for a 3-0 home victory.
I'm going for 3-1. I think, again, like you said, team on form and the quality they have, they won't be bothering Watford at all. And then Stoke versus West Brom.
I'm going for a Stoke victory here. West Brom, they created a little bit of chances against the champions at home, but I think away from home at Stoke, at the Britannia Stadium with the fans, and Stokes' gameplay now much improved. They're not just a long ball team or
Yeah.
a direct team. They can slice you open a couple ways with the flair players that they brought in from Barcelona. So I'm going for a 2-1 Barcelona victory here with Shaqiri getting on the score sheet.
All right, that would be nice to see. I'm going for a 2-1 victory for Stoke as well. And the Spurs versus Everton, another competitive game here we have.
Should be a good game,
Mhm.
but Spurs, they just don't look at it yet.
Mhm.
Kane has played well, but not the same player from last
It's not the
season
same
yet.
last year.
I think he's still going to get his goal. So I'm going for a 1-1 draw here as well.
No, I differ from you here. I think this is the game where Spurs are going to open the account. So 2-1 for Spurs this weekend. And then Southampton versus Norwich.
3-1 victory for the home side. I think they'll just have too much for them to cope with in Norwich.
I have 1-0 over here for Southampton as well. And then the last game of this of the weekend, we have Swansea hosting United.
We've seen in the past couple of seasons, whenever United travels to Wales, they sometimes find it hard, especially when the weather is bad. But I think in this case, I'm going for a 1-0 United victory here. I do think that defensively they've looked good, and then as well in the Champions League we saw them keep another clean sheet away from home.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going for a 1-0 United victory with, guess, Wayne Rooney getting on the score sheet.
All right. Well, I have a 1-1 for United. I think now that they're in the Champions League and they played today, so it's going to be that fatigue will come into play. And Swansea at home is always a tricky customer to deal with. So 1-1 for a piece. So that's our predictions for game week 4. Let's see how it pans out. All right, and now it's time for our weekly fantasy league tip. So, Sully, how was your Terry tip? How did that go for you?
It was actually going pretty well before he got sent off, so I still thought he probably could have nicked the goal there, but I apologize about that, guys. And then we also saw Memphis at home against Newcastle not doing too much.
Mm-hmm.
He was my captain as well. I mean, I still had a pretty decent week, but my tips were pretty bad. So this week, take it to the bank.
Don't.
Nathaniel Klein against West Ham. I actually do see him getting an assist and a clean sheet as well. I think West Ham are not going to trouble with Liverpool at all away from home. Liverpool should be comfortable enough to get a clean sheet. And I think with the way Cresswell played last week, I think he's still short on confidence. So his wing would be, the left side would be a little bit open. So I see him popping in a cross for Benteke to nod in.
All right.
And then offensively, my star man for this week should be David Silva. With City hosting the Premier League newbies in Watford, I think he should get an assist or a goal, maybe get an Aguero in, a Sterling or somebody, or even a Yaya Toure. So I'm going for Klein for Liverpool for my clean sheet, Silva for a goal and an assist. So whichever one you guys decide, rock with me.
All right. Unless you wanna have a bad week, listen to my tips, boys, because so far my tips have proved well. For this week, I'm going for Liverpool's Gomez. I think in terms of providing assist, he just has a little bit better opportunity in terms of doing that as opposed to Nathaniel Klein. And then for the offensive, I have Yaya Toure. He was excellent in the first game, and I see him popping a goal or two in this upcoming game against Watford. So Yaya Toure offensively and Gomez defensively.
All right, we'll see how it goes. Don't forget to keep up with our fantasy tip and join our fantasy league as well. Come see how you guys can do with the big boys. So.
All right, so a lot to talk about for the next game week. This is the episode we have for you guys today, and then I'm gonna hand it over to my main man, Mr. Sully here. I want to have a couple of things to say to you.
All right. Check. Thanks for joining us, guys. Make sure you keep up with the webisode.
Make sure you follow us on Twitter and subscribe to our YouTube channels. So that's all for us for this week. See you next week.